dreams. They filter through this land of ours and fill a sportsman's dreams. Enjoy what nature holds for us, her bounty never ends. Getting back to basics with the practical sportsman. It's always an adventure, no matter where we go. From a favorite hunting spot to the hottest fishing hole. Outdoor life we all can share with family and friends. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman.
Hi there, it's Thursday night, June 19th, 2003. Boy, we've got a half hour of news and information coming up. Fred, what do we got on the show?
We have the last installment of our Predator documentary, the one from Delta Waterfowl, that makes the case for managing predators, trapping and taking them during the spring breeding season in order to boost the populations of waterfowl.
And in the Michigan Outdoor News, more fishing regulations changes from the DNR. I'm Zachary Trost.
And I'm Fred Trost with a half hour of news and information for the practical sportsman.
My buddy Mike taught me to fish. This was my first fish I ever caught, muskie. First muskie I ever caught, first time I ever went muskie fishing.
One of the issues that Zachary reported on last week's Michigan Outdoor News was this proposal to change the law to ban muskie spearing in the lakes that have been planted with muskies. Well, anytime a group of sportsmen wants to ban an activity that other sportsmen enjoy, there's friction. And in the fishing world, there's a fundamental difference between the anglers who fish because they like to eat what they catch, they're called the catch and fillet fishermen, and the anglers who don't want to keep the fish they catch, they just want to catch the biggest fish of all. And these catch and release anglers are often against the fishermen who keep and eat their fish. Now, this is no small issue. This controversy over muskie spearing isn't just about spearing, it's about the philosophy of fishing. Now, if muskie spearing goes, so will pike spearing, because the two species are so similar. Now, I'm not going to go into detail right now on the emails that I've received on this subject, but here are a few of the quotes for you to mull over that I'm going to be digging into on next week's show. From the president of the Michigan Muskie Alliance. I heard there was some unfavorable coverage regarding the spearing ban petition. Some of the incorrect statements seem to have the intention of stirring the pot with the spearing community and the fishing public in general. The intention of the muskie program is to provide a trophy fishery. To me, this means that a person who thinks they have caught a trophy muskie has the right to keep it. Now, from the other side of the fence, which is the spearing community and the fishing public in general, we have, these muskie fishermen have lost their minds. As long as there is any legal harvest of pike, muskie, or sturgeon, the spear fishermen should not be banned. And one email from a member of an organization formed to fight this Muskie Alliance initiative. My family and I are members of the Michigan Darkhouse Angling Association, a new organization founded to protect and preserve spearing through the ice. We believe it is our historical right to continue to spearfish while promoting the responsible use of our renewable fishery resources. I will never understand the motivations of a group that wants to ban the way another group chooses to pursue the outdoors experience. Timothy Anto from Carlton got a Great Lakes Muskie, Lake St. Clair. 50 inches. And this is a big one. This is another one that the mount here, swing that mouth around there and look inside. That's a lot of teeth.
Yeah, that's a lot of teeth.
What's the scoop? You a muskie fisherman?
No, my buddy Mike taught me to fish. This was my first fish I ever caught, muskie. First muskie I ever caught, first time I ever went muskie fishing. We caught 8 more that day. He caught a couple master anglers, but he didn't register them. It was a lot of fun.
Man, 8 more.
Yeah.
So that was 9 muskie in one day.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What'd you catch it on?
$9 bass, T3 Terminator.
Something else. Well, you got a good introduction here to muskie fishing. Congratulations. Thank you. Sounds like you got a hot guy to go with. Oh, yeah. 9 in 1 day. Tim Anto from Carlton. We have predatory fish like the muskie, we have predatory birds, predatory animals, and all of these feed on other critters. Now, in the right circumstances, predators can virtually annihilate other species in certain habitats. In the past couple of months, we've looked at 6 installments of the 1-hour documentary that Delta Waterfowl did on their research on predators and ducks. Now we're at part 7, the conclusion of a very important, very interesting, and somewhat controversial series.
One of the problems is that we have very few people that are out there hunting and trapping right now, so predator populations are really high.
Well, with the Lloyd, with the depressed fur market, it's no wonder nobody's out there. You can't make enough money to pay for your gas for trapping, so in turn, if we have fewer trappers, we're going to have more predators.
That's why we need projects like this.
Yeah.
Buck, what would you say to the people that accuse projects like this of totally eradicating predators?
Well, I'd laugh at them because it's impossible to do. There are so many predators out there that all we're looking for is to bring them into a natural balance.
The results of the first year of the Delta Waterfowl and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Management Agreement were so off the charts that it really paves the way for the potential of predator control to be applied in a large-scale way. This was a management program applied to the landscape that had significant results and could generate a tremendous return in duck production if applied and when applied on a larger scale.
Will the success of the Can-Do project pave the way for large-scale region-wide predator management?
Can you imagine what we would get with results in terms of duck production if we applied predator management to a lot of these other habitat projects that are getting 6, 8, 10%, but by applying predator management, we can see that nest success go up to 50, 60, even above 80% nest success. The contribution in terms of duck production would be phenomenal.
I think it's a step in the right direction. It's also an attempt to look at even bigger blocks of habitat in different parts of North Dakota, for example, in the breeding range.
When you have those kinds of results, I think you're absolutely foolish not to look at them in a serious manner and say, hey, look, maybe there's something here that we should be going after. Even the person who is doubtful, skeptical about it, has to sit up and take notice of something like that.
We have to remember that although 75% of the prairie pothole region is actually in Canada, the duck production potential there has been greatly impacted. There is ongoing wetland drainage, there is grassland loss, and there is no CRP program in Canada like we've had in the United States through the late 80s and 1990s. So the duck production potential has actually flowed south of the border more into the United States because of the loss of habitat that we're seeing on an ongoing basis in Canada.
I think people have the impression that Canada is still on the edge of the wilderness, and I think if you drive from North Dakota into Manitoba, for example, you see that in fact the habitat base in Canada is in very bad shape. We do not have a conservation reserve program, we have very little protection for wetlands, and we have very little upland cover. So overall, the state of habitat in Canada is much worse shape than it is south of the 49th parallel.
Canada's situation is a desperate one. When I look at a province like Saskatchewan, I'm really depressed to see how agriculture has impacted upon the potential of waterfowl to produce, let's say, a vigorous fall flight.
Delta Waterfowl doesn't consider predator management a panacea for ducks. They also believe it's important to maintain grasslands and wetlands, and in fact have led the fight to keep those features on the prairie landscape. But Delta doesn't believe that a one-method approach to management is the answer either. Delta Waterfowl believes it's time to raise the question of accountability. Has the $1 billion spent on land acquisition, easements, habitat development projects contributed significantly to the fall flight? And with more than 90% of the continent's duck population raised on private land, is it possible for a strictly ecosystem-based management approach to have any real impact? Or as Al Hochbaum tried to tell us over a half-century ago, when he talked about the importance of small wetlands, isn't it time we consider directing some of those dollars toward other management techniques?
The challenges facing duck production have changed as dramatically as the prairie landscape since the field of waterfowl management came into existence. Man has thrown populations of small predators out of balance, and that imbalance, coupled with changing land use practices across the pothole region, has severely inhibited the potential for duck production. Duck numbers will continue to rise and fall in sync with moisture conditions on the prairies, and man's costly and elaborate attempts to manipulate the landscape can't change that. Delta's research clearly shows that controlling predator populations during the breeding season, especially in those areas with the highest potential for production, can make a difference.
I think our obligation is to leave a heritage for those to come beyond, a heritage of naturalness, a heritage of a world only partly spoiled. What kind of a world will this be? What kind of a people will we be in 10, 15, 20, 100 years without birds against the sky?
Delta Waterfowl's research on predators is revolutionary. We presented their 1-hour video in 7 parts on this show, but their video is available through Delta Waterfowl. You can reach their web. But before we move into a new series, I have a question. In your mind, through your eyes, what was the Delta Waterfowl project about? Did you see it as being about predators and the need to control them, or did you see it as a project about game birds and ducks and how to protect them during their breeding seasons? See, how you look at outdoor issues, what your perspective is, makes a difference as to how important you feel the problem is. Some people think that all outdoor issues are trivial. You know, compared to terrorism and the wars in the Middle East, SARS, AIDS, mad cow disease, stock market frauds, crime, drugs. I mean, people think that predators and ducks, just aren't worthy of attention in the scheme of life in today's world. But if that's your attitude, you're going to love this next series. It's about a little bird, much smaller than a duck. And the question is, how does a Kirtland Warbler compare with a duck or a robin or a chickadee? And is this issue about a bird, or is it about a state searching for a symbol to help represent its uniqueness and importance? Well, the man who contacted me about this issue is Len Stutman from Lansing, who introduces what we might as well call the Kirtland Warbler's controversy.
Well, tell me about what's your big beef here? What's the deal? What's the big beef? No big beef. What we're doing is we're going fast forward on the Kirtland Warbler. 1931, the Michigan Audubon Society recommended the robin as a state bird. But in 1934, they discovered that the Kirtland Warbler, sometimes called the jack pine warbler, was nesting only in the jack pine barrens of Michigan. So it is Michigan's bird. And at one time, it was almost extinct because there were, I think, something like 100 and maybe 105, 106 nesting pair in the entire world. In fact, even today, it's the rarest warbler in the world. And it's Michigan's bird. And so what we're doing is we're trying to shift that idea that the robin is the state bird, and it's the state bird of other states as well. And what we'll do is make the Kirtland Warbler the state bird.
How are you going to do that? I mean, this has been established.
Education. Well, we've been talking about it for 50 years. And now it's time to do something about it because, well, the Michigan Audubon Society has formed a coalition of various organizations, and this is going to be their 100th celebration. Now, their centennial year is coming up, and there are a bunch of programs, and really the birthday gift, the centennial birthday gift, is the Kirtland's Warbler. And so we're moving this on fast forward.
Len Stutman is passionate about his campaign, and in future segments he's going to explain many more reasons why. Now, as a part of this series, we'll be looking at parts of a tape produced by the Michigan DNR. Now, you're going to see how it starts right here, and the message is probably not what you think it's going to be.
This is a Kirtland's Warbler, a highly endangered songbird. It is a part of the jack pine ecosystem, a unique group of plants and animals that live and function as a unit. And what do these human activities have to do with the Kirtland's Warbler? Just the opposite of what you might think. These practices may appear destructive, but they actually help protect and restore the jack pine ecosystem. They are vital to the conservation of the Kirtland's Warbler and the other plants and animals that make up this unique place.
How many people think of habitat destruction, clear cutting and fires, as being a good thing in nature? Well, as I said at the beginning, this series might not seem significant at first, but with the right perspective, it can be an important issue. I mean, is this effort to make the Kirtland's Warbler Michigan state bird all about the bird? Or is it about a state searching for a symbol to represent its uniqueness and importance? Well, the next installment on the case for the Kirtland's Warbler will be in 2 weeks.
Hey, tune in next week. We have some footage to show you from our weekend at Warbler's Cove. And let me tell you, everybody had a great time. So get out and take somebody fishing. The weather can't be beat, and we'll see you right here next week.